Nigerian Civil War, for instance, you and I perhaps relate with it as a matter of history. When you speak about June 12, I relate with it as a matter of personal experience. In the same vein, my junior in Chambers, the same yesterday, asked me a question that clearly, exposed the need to properly document what happened. And he was saying, what was it exactly that cost? And I said, I was shocked. I said, well, that would mean that there are so many, the critical mass of the Nigerian population need to be properly educated with respect to...
Did you tell him that the judiciary played a critical role as well? I took my
time to explain as much as I could, but that will not displace the need to have that not just documented, but profiled in such a way that the values and the essence of this exercise yesterday will take its place in history. And what are those values, if you don't mind? It is that the process of democratization, which is what we have all elected to embark on, does not start and stop with election, even if it plays a very major role in the whole exercise. And that citizen participation is perhaps one of the greatest aspects of that process. Indeed, in our view, it is what lends legitimacy to the process, rather than the validity or the legality of the exercise. And that what happened in 1993 was a unanimous consensus across the country in giving effect to the will of the Nigerian people. And that was why it was not just criminal, it was treasonable for any person or group of persons to have believed that can be whisked away.
Okay. I just, since you went back to the event yesterday, let me take you back there again, and let's look at the speeches that were made there. I mean, the president spoke. We also heard from Mr. Falana, we heard from the Nobel laureate, we heard from the children of MK Abiola, we heard from the Ambassador Kingibe. But when you listen to all of that, a lot of people, what they took out of there was their apologies. Was that all that mattered in that conversation yesterday?
It couldn't have been all that mattered. It was a very critical aspect of the speech. But in my view, the fact that a nation came to the realization that what happened 25 years was wrong and took steps, as it were, to correct that infraction, that malfeasance, was perhaps one of the most potent aspects of that exercise. The apology spoke to the deep sense of humility, if you like, of the man who presently superintends the affairs of our country, one that was part of that constituency, and which also heightened the beauty of what happened, because it was almost unexpected that the kind of reversal will come from one who was in that same constituency. And I think that was also what motivated Professor Woloshenka in particular in saying that, look, in dealing with this situation that we find ourselves, it is gratifying that you had taken this very courageous, bold, and historical step. But there was also the additional need to ensure that the ambivalence and confusion that the Nigerian people are thrown into are also reduced, because it is almost antithetical that in one breath you are honoring MKO Abiola And in another breath, you are eulogizing, or you eulogized the tormentor. That was the demented military past head of state. And that there was the need to, for the sake of history and for the purpose that we seek to achieve, to clearly put these things the way they are and take steps to ensure that people are not confused in the process.
Let's see if we could explore that part where you spoke about deepening democracy and identifying some of those things, those institutions that play key roles, and whether and how we've kicked on from there. Have we progressed or are we retrogressing? The judiciary, for instance, when you say this was unanimous, everyone was on the same page, but alas, when they went to the judiciary, we saw the role they played. So that's a very key arm of deepening our democracy.
What are the ingredients of democracy all over? They are known. Independence and impartiality of the judiciary, a free media and press, fundamental human rights, observance of the rule of law, and if you like, I keep insisting, the citizen participation, which for me underscores the legitimacy of the process, and by far more important than the legality of what we do. So if we take them one after the other and focusing on the judiciary that you talked about, those were very dark days. Those were very, very dark days in the history and annals of the history of this country, where we had a judiciary that was determined to play its role, but required not just the knowledge of the law and the ethics of the profession to stay afloat, but an additional attribute of courage. Those who made the judiciary what it was were those who had the courage. A number of them who didn't have that courage were not just intimidated, they became part of the conspiracy. Now, if you backtrack and recall that Babangida was virtually running out of ideas on how to give effect to the military calculation of what needed to happen. He was out of his wit, and there was a notorious, that's the proper word to use, association known as the Association for Better Nigeria, led by Ato Nzeribe and one Davis. They had run to court, apparently to give some justification to the calculation of the military, urging the court to give orders stopping the election itself. And it took one female judge, Justice Ekpema, who gave that judgment in the dead of the night.